boys and girls. I'm Grandma Books. I'm welcoming you back to another fun experiments. Grandma Books has fun experiments in the kitchen. So today we're going to talk about energy. And you know, there's lots of different kinds of energy. What do you think is the most important energy that we have? You may think it's electricity because then we have television and internet and all that. But no, people have lived on Earth for a long time, thousands and thousands of years without any electricity. But what do we have to have? I'm giving you a hint. I'm showing you my sweet potato. Can you see my sweet potato? Isn't that beautiful? Look how much it's grown since last week. And what does a sweet potato need? The same thing I need, the same thing you need. The sun, because we have to have light and heat from the sun. And my sweet potato is getting energy from the sun here in my kitchen. And where is it getting the water from? Think about that. I'm not watering it. Must be getting water out of the sweet potato. It just sits here in my kitchen and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So today, I'm not going to talk about sun because there's not many experiments we can do. I think the most fun energy is sound energy because we have noise, we have firecrackers, and we have music. And today I'm going to talk about sound energy. So there's some fun experiments we can do with sound. I think you're going to really like this one. This is a hex nut inside a balloon. I blew it up. Now watch this. Can you hear that? To have sound, you have to have movement. And you have to have vibration. And you know what vibration is. This is a whisk. Your mom might use this to make desserts. And you can see it vibrate. Can you see it vibrating? So when that vibrates, it hits the air molecules around it, and the air molecules go in a wave, sort of like the ocean wave. And sound energy and sound waves go all through any matter. They'll go through any kind of matter. If you wonder how we can talk, put your hand on your throat right here, because we have vocal cords right here in our throat. And I want you to roar like a lion. Can you feel it vibrating? Your vocal cords are vibrating. Now I want you to squeak like a mouse. Eek, eek, roar, eek. Can you see the difference? Because the different sounds make different vibrations. So this is how the sound happens. If I bang on my drum, the drum vibrates and it makes movement in the air molecules. All the air around here starts to vibrate and it moves in waves, just like the ocean waves. And then it reaches my ear, and inside my ear is a thing called an eardrum that's like a little drum like this. And then it hits the eardrum, and the eardrum vibrates just like this drum vibrates. And then it goes up into my brain, and it says, oh, there's a sound. You can hear a drum. Now, if the vibration stops, the sound stops. Now, I want you to listen to my spoon. If you tie a spoon to a string, it makes a really great sound. Hear that? Sort of sounds like a church bell. Now listen, if I stop the vibration, the sound stops immediately. Once the spoon stops vibrating, it's not giving off any waves in the air and I can't hear anything. Now, sound will travel through any matter, but it travels faster and louder through solids than it does through liquids or through air. Now, here's some experiments you can do. So put your ear down on a table. I'm going to put it down on my granite countertop in the kitchen. I'm going to put my ear down all the way so it's touching all the way, and now I'm going to knock. It's much louder. Try it with wood. If you do that on a wooden table, it really gets loud. And the reason for that is that solids, remember when we did the experiment with the Hershey Kisses about molecules? Remember, molecules in solids are really close together, and they just vibrate, but they touch each other. They're really close together. They're not like in liquids and in gases where they're far apart. And so as my Hershey Kisses bounce around, these molecules bounce around, they make really loud noise, and it goes very fast. It moves from one molecule to the other very fast. And you know, the best thing about doing experiments in my kitchen is I get to eat the experiment, and I love Hershey Kisses. Did I tell you that chocolate came from Mexico? In fact, you've heard of the Aztec, you've heard of Mayans and Olmecs. They had chocolate thousands of years before we had any chocolate in California or the United States. I love chocolate. Take a spoon and tie a string to it, and then bang it against the kitchen counter with this end. Hit that end against the edge of the counter or a table, and listen to this sound. Is that great? Do it with different sizes of spoons, and it makes different noises. Do you think this is a smaller spoon? Do you think the sound's going to be higher or lower? A little higher maybe. Now, if you want to have a lot of fun, take the string. See, the sound is going to come up the string, and take this string and tie it to the spoon, and then wrap your fingers around the two pieces of string. See, I've got two pieces of string, and then I'm going to put this string right next to the outside of my ear, not in your eardrum, but on the outside of the ear, and the sound is going to come up the string into my ear. Now listen to it this time and do it. Oh my gosh, it sounds like a church bell. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And if you want to have a lot of fun, take a metal coat hanger, it has to be metal, tie a string to each end of it like this, wrap your fingers around the wire like this, then hold it up to your ear, not inside your ear, just outside, and then bang it against the wall. Oh! You cannot believe how much noise this coat hanger makes. But you have to have it. See, the vibration is coming up the string because that's solid, so it's going fast and loud, and then it's going to this bone outside your ear, and it's going inside your ear to your eardrum and then to your brain. Wow. So now, the metal makes a lot of vibration. What about a plastic spoon? Do you think this is going to make a loud noise? No. Plastic. What about wood? Do you think wood's going to make a loud noise? No, it just goes clunk. But you can make a musical instrument with water. If you fill up jars of water or just glasses with water with different amounts of water, and then just tap on them with a spoon. I use a wooden spoon. Hear the difference in sound? And if you fill up a whole bunch, you can actually make a xylophone and go up and make music on it because they make different sound. And what we call that, the high note and the low note, is pitch. So a real high note is a high pitch, and a low note is a low pitch. And see, the more water that I have in it, the higher the note. And what that is because the sound vibration coming off, the wave, is going off really fast and zigging like this, and it makes a high sound. And that's what happens in music. So Karina is going to play 3 instruments, and the instruments all have strings, but the strings are different. And you'll see the difference in how high the pitch is in the 3 different instruments. Now, the first one she's going to play is the guitar, and this is a very low pitch because the sound wave is very long. And then she's going to play a ukulele, and that's medium pitch because the strings are a little different. And then she's going to play a violin, and the violin is very high pitch, and that's because the waves coming off of the violin strings are very short and very fast. They're just wiggly like that. So boys and girls, you don't know how lucky you are that we have electricity now, and we have telephones, and we have television. When I was your age, we didn't have any television, we didn't have any internet, and so we had to play really stupid games on the farm. So my cousin and I would make telephone games. We would make a fake telephone. We'd take 2 cups, and we'd tie a string in the bottom of each cup, put a knot in it so that it wouldn't fall out. And then I would go down to the barn, and he would go up to the doghouse, and we would take turns talking through these. I would say, I got to go first, and I would say, because I made the telephone, and I would say, "Hello, Ronnie, can you hear me? Over." And he would have his cup up to his ear, and he would be able to hear what I said. Not as well as on a telephone, but he could hear me. And then he would say, "Yes, I can, over." And I would be listening like this. And then, it's a stupid game. And then I would say, "Have you seen any elephants? Over." We would pretend that we were out in the jungle instead of on the farm. And he would say, "No elephants, but I think I see a lion. Over." That was our stupid game. And you can do this. Just take 2 paper cups or plastic cups and tie a real long string and have one of your friends or your brother or sister go outside way far away so they can't hear you. And then try talking through this telephone. So boys and girls, here's a game you can play with some cups. You can take paper cups or plastic cups and just punch a hole in the bottom and put a string through. You can use different size strings and different size cups, all different materials, not glass of course. And then I take a paper towel and I make it a little damp, and I'm going to make noises. And sometimes I can make a duck noise, sometimes I can make a dog noise. See what kind of noises you can make. Just jerk down on it a little bit like that. Now that's a thick string. Let's try a thin string and see if it sounds different. Same cup, but a different string. See if it sounds any different. It's a little higher, isn't it? It makes a higher sound. Okay, you can play with that and then try different materials. Oh, here's a styrofoam cup. Let's see what this sounds like. Now, it's best if you sort of make a little, it's best if this is damp. You can do this without anything, but it doesn't make very good noise. But try it with a little damp paper towel and just sort of jerk down on it. Don't go long, just short. Oh, that's sort of a good. What does that sound like? I don't know what that is. That sounds sort of low, doesn't it? Now here's a big cup from popcorn, and I put a shoestring in it. Let's see what this sounds like. Oh, I don't know what that sounds like. Maybe that sounds like something bad. And girls, we've done a lot of fun experiments. I think the most fun is the hex nut inside the balloon. So here's what you do. Take a hex nut. And I think the reason this makes so much weird noise is because it's got a hole in the middle and it's very irregular. And I really love this sound. Now, you can experiment with other things, put them down in the balloon and blow it up. I tried a penny and it didn't make a good noise. And I think that's because, well, there's no hole in it, but I think it's because it's not irregular. I think the hex nut, because it has all these little sharp corners and angles, I think that's what makes the air. See, what the nut is, when I'm spinning it, the nut is making the air inside the balloon vibrate, and it's sending really weird vibrations in, and they're hitting the outside of the balloon, so that's vibrating, and it's making this really weird noise. I love this sound. Girls, we've shown that you can make sound waves through all kinds of media. It can come through the air. You can come through liquid, too. You know, if you're ever in a swimming pool, go underwater and have somebody make a loud noise, and it'll be very loud underwater. And we've made it through solids. Go bounce, put your ear next to the table and bounce on the table hard, and you'll see that it really makes a loud noise. So my question is, if I went to the moon, if I were an astronaut and I went to the moon and I dropped a rock on the ground at the moon, could I hear it? And the answer is no, because there's nothing out there. In space, there's no air. There's nothing. You have to have something, some kind of matter for the waves to go through, for the vibration to make the waves. But now the astronauts, remember the Apollo and astronauts when they walked on the moon? They could talk to each other because they had to have helmets on so they could breathe, and they had microphones. They had like a cell phone in each helmet, and then they could talk to each other. Okay, now here's the question. What about on the International Space Station? You've seen pictures, I bet, at school of that space station that circles around the Earth, and it's got astronauts inside, and they work and play. Can they talk to each other inside the International Space Station? It's out in space. There's no air out in space. Can they do that? Yes, because they have to breathe. And when they're inside the space station, they don't have helmets on. They're just walking around. Well, they're floating, remember, because there's no gravity. So they're floating around, and they talk to each other because they have to put air inside the space station. But when they go outside the space station into outer space where there's no air, they have to have a helmet on so they can talk to each other. Well, they have to have a helmet, too, so they can breathe. Now, boys and girls, teachers sometimes ask this question. If a tree falls in a forest on a deserted island, is there any sound? And sometimes people would say yes, and the teacher would say no, because if there's no people there, there isn't any sound because you have to have ear to pick up the waves. No, the answer to that question is maybe, because if there's no people there, what about if there's a rabbit on this deserted island or a mouse? And they have ears, and they would then hear the vibration and have sound. But if there's no living animals on the island and the tree falls, there's vibration, but there's no sound. So, boys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed this sound energy video, and I hope you do some of the experiments. For sure, I hope that you tie a string to each end of a coat hanger and then bounce it against the wall with the string up by your ear, on the outside of your ear, and you will not believe the tremendous noise that it makes. And the harder you hit it against the wall, the louder the noise is. I think you will really enjoy that. So my sweet potato and I say goodbye, and we'll see you again next time when we talk about more kinds of energy. Bye-bye.